Hey, so we're going to go over how to use the shotgun and more specifically how I use the shotgun with Claude Code Teams. So let's first dive into building out a spec. So I've opened the shotgun here. It's in VS Code. I have a project kind of set up a little bit here. So first we're going to build a nice spec. So I want to build a Pydantic AI agent hosted by Fast API. And I want to have a Astro React front end for it. Okay, so we're going to build a spec for building a Pydantic AI agent hosted by Fast API with a nice like Astro React front end. So the shotgun's going to go through asking us questions. Uh, general chatbot, Anthropic, the latest Opus 0.6 model. So here we go. I will work out the plan. So first we're going to work out a spec. And it's going to do some research first. We have no code here right now. If we did have code, I would index this folder and we'd get like nice Codebase indexing with a graph database where the shotgun could quickly like go over all the code and tell us about it. But we're starting with a completely blank project here and just watching the shotgun build out a spec. Then I'll switch over to Claude Code Teams and use that to build out the spec. So here I've given it a context7 API key, which the research agent is going to use to like build out a nice understanding of like the libraries that it's going to be using. So like Fast API, Pydantic AI, and Astro, all those things. It'll help write research. So it's going to write all its research down nicely, so that way later on when we build the specification, we can rely on that research. We can do more research too on like I've used this for things like market research, so understanding competitors and maybe like where you could build something that's kind of niche that competitors don't cover. And so it really helps there to have all the research written down. But yeah, after this writes out all the research, we'll come back and see what the spec looks like. All right, so the shotgun wrote a specification, a plan, and task for us. So now I'm going to review that and go over each one. So the tasks are these nice little staged list of tasks that are very specific about what needs to happen. And to each one of these things, I'm going to add a QA checkpoint. So I'm going to add tasks for Claude Code to do after the stage is done to make sure that the stage worked. And then if you look at it, the stages are dependent on each other, and these dependencies we can try to make it so that it'll be more parallel. So we can do work in parallel with teams. So we don't necessarily need to do everything all at once. I mean, all in series. It also wrote a plan out. So the plan is more like these are the stages, the purpose, these kind of things. So let's work on making the plan a little bit more parallel and see what the shotgun comes out with. All right, so I've asked to add QA checkpoints for each thing. It did that for each stage. And now the plan is more parallel, so we can build the backend and front end at the same time with teams. And we have steps for QA verification before it moves on to each stage. So now we're ready to go on and build. So now I'll switch over to Claude Code Teams. All right, so we have the full spec. We have contracts that specify what the API should look like, what the chat model should look like, what the front end model should look like, and the back end models. And now I have a prompt that I put together, which I'll share along with this video. This is just to get the agent started, try to work in teams, only do the next stage so it doesn't just continue on through the whole thing and have like kind of context explosion. So let's see how well this works. This is Claude Code started in Tmux with teammate mode set for Tmux. So if another agent spins up, we'll see it set up here. All right, so it read the spec, read the plan. Looks like it's going to do stage 1 first, then it's going to do stage 2 and 2A and 2B at the same time in parallel. So we'll see it start up now, and I'll come back when it's written a little bit. All right, so it completed stage 1, and now it's moved on to stage 2A and 2B in parallel with 2 different agents. For more like production-based work, so this is obviously like a toy app, but for more production-based work, I would set up a plan and have the prompt here say like stop exactly at each stage. I'd want to see a PR. I'd want to like look at the results. But for this kind of more side project kind of thing, I really just want to get through it quickly. So we just kind of let it go without going into plan mode. Like we never jumped into plan mode at all. We just gave it this prompt, which I'll post with the video. And then Claude Code read the spec, was able to launch into teams. What's really nice about the spec is that it's written, you can tell Claude Code, you can tell Shotgun to do the spec so that it can be optimized for working in parallel with Claude Code teams. And because it's Opus 4.6 is what I used, do a really good job at that. So each agent has a stage that can do in parallel, and each agent has like the deliverables that it should have when it finishes its stage, and all the QA tasks. So like here we have playwright MCP, which will be able to test the front end. So like a first pass of QA, we won't even have to do ourselves. We'll just leave it up to Claude Code. I really think this kind of like agent orchestration is the future, and I really like that the kind of once you create the spec and you kind of give it to the agent and say like, hey, go, it will just go off and build it. So if you have a really good spec written, which the shotgun can help you do, it will help you get a very nice application written, and it'll be very accurate to what the spec is, right? If you just told it like, hey, build, if you just told Claude Code, hey, build this, it will kind of go off and fill in the gaps when there's nothing specific about what it's supposed to build. But when you have a nice spec, it's kind of going to adhere to that spec, right? Especially when like it reviews its own code and stuff. So yeah, let's see how this comes out. All right, so it completed stage 1, then spun up 2 agents to complete stage 2, and now stage 3 is also done. Or no, stage 3 is testing, so we'll do that next. So first I'm going to clear or make sure all the code is checked in. So we can see here, test stage 3 using playwright and the expectations, the tasks. So let's make sure everything's checked in. Merge domain. So if this were more like production, like what I do with a shotgun, when I'm working on the shotgun, is I have a plan with stages, and then I will each stage I'll open a PR, I'll review every single piece of it, and then I'll merge that in, or I'll create a PR on top of that PR. Most likely I'll just merge it in. And that way I'm only doing very small PRs and not like one gigantic like 10,000 line PR. Like it would be, this is a toy project, but it would be too hard to review any of this if I were to just like review the whole thing, right? It's too many lines of code. So you want to review it stage by stage. So now let's clear the context window, and we'll take our same prompt again. So there's one more step here. If I were doing this for real, I would ask it to review its own code, but we don't really need to do that for this. So here, move on to the next stage. Try to complete only one stage at a time, or multiple if you can in parallel. And again, I'll share this prompt with the video, but you want to adapt it to your own Current project. Yeah, so let's let it take in the spec and see what happens. So it actually stood up a front end and the back end and ran some QA with the player at MCP. So this is kind of similar to what I do with the shotgun. The shotgun is able to start up with a web mode, and I have Claude Code do like a QA kind of first pass on a lot of things. So it's good to have that like built into the spec, like do this. And so right now it's just kind of working out how to QA right now, and it'll probably just restart the server in a second. But yeah, it looks like it's coming along. And if you notice, halfway through, we cleared the context window, but we were able to just continue working on it. And that's something you can do if you have a really nice, well-written spec, really any spec at all. You can continue even after the session closes, after the plane gets wiped out. You can just continue on with the spec because it's written out. And something else we like to do is review the spec amongst the team. So I think that like in the future, or really we should be now, is write a spec for something, take that, share with your team, get them to like agree on the spec, like does everything look okay? Especially if you're going to be building something like payments or anything that's like business related. Obviously, this is just a toy application, but something that's more like business related, like payments, usage based payments, things that are kind of like critical for the business. Those are things you should probably like agree on, and you should have documentation around that. And that's not something you should really vibe code. Um, so having a spec and sharing with people and having the AI agent build exactly that spec is really important. Yeah, so let's give it some time. I like it worked. Let's give it some time to do some more QA and see what happens. Okay, so it's actually going through all of the QA plans. It'll probably show something quickly here. Oh, now it's checking your mobile. So it's going through all the QA plans of like, try this, make sure this works. So this is obviously what an iPad would look like. Um, yeah. All right, so rec desktop. So it's going to go through all the QA plans in the spec of like, put this text in. Does it work? Is it showing it? Take a screenshot and then analyze it. So yeah, it's a standard kind of Claude Code thing. But having that in the spec, that kind of QA test plan is really important because the same test plan is something you should run like afterwards as a person. So like you should have like a first pass where you just run Claude Code, you have that do everything, and you have the same test plan and run that, or at least parts of it, just to make sure everything works, just to like, sanity check it. Okay, so it's stood up everything and it's been tested already. So hey, how's it going? Oh, okay. Let me fix the connection. Hey. Okie dokie. So it's streaming and spitting out its thinking. The thinking's not showing. But yeah, this works pretty well for a spec that we did pretty quickly, and then had to implement it. It's kind of like a toy app. Uh, Really, the point of this was to just show like how I use the shotgun. So like again, I have a prompt. It says like, you know, take in the spec, do what it says in the spec, check off things as it goes along, and then make sure you're doing like the rough and lint checks. Um, and then the specification itself is really this is like a toy application, but you can imagine something that's more complicated where there's like multiple systems and like a monorepo, and you want to like coordinate all those things. And if you have an agentic team, you can do all those things kind of in parallel now, which is really important. And then with a very nice spec, you can, uh, you know, close Claude Code or just kill the session, clear the context, and the spec is still there. So you never lose that information. I don't check specs in. Um, so what I'll do is sometimes I'll put in tasks where it'll be like, hey, at the end of the thing, update a architectural document as part of the work. So like maybe we'll do some work in between. I don't want to check all that spec in. I will just have it, update the docs so that those docs kind of live forever. I see the specification as kind of a thing that you get reviewed, but it is kind of a temporary thing. It's the implementation that you want, those architectural docs that you want. So yeah, let me know what you think.